It's 7 o'clock, so I've been told. So it's time to call our meeting to order. First order of business is to adopt our agenda.
Mouth is full otherwise.
I will move that we adopt the agenda as posted.
Second. The motion and a second. Before we do that, though, I would like to add one item to it, probably under 3D, which would be a purchase order for $19,374.65 for winter sand, because our guys have been getting ready for it down there, and now that they've had some time, and that's a purchase order that's above Seth's limit. So it's for Florence crushed stone.
It's within the budget amount.
Right. Anyone else have any additions or changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Okay. So all in favor of approving the agenda with the addition of the purchase order, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote no one. Thank you. Smiling.
Maybe not later.
Okay, select board remarks. Small crowd. Don't expect any hostile environment tonight, so let's just have a good meeting. That's my remark. Anyone else have anything to say?
I second your remark.
Okay. Moving on. Item 3. Minutes, warrants, alcohol, and the purchase order. Pleasure of the board.
I will move that we consider items 3A, B, C, and D to a consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on any of that? None heard.
Oh, I had one question on the warrant. I think it's just maybe a typo. I noticed that there was a double entry for a dance class refund, but it looked like the check number was the same. So it's Jordan Anderson summer dance refund for $69, check number 3344. It's just double listed. That is a sketch. Different.
Which page on the warrant?
Right at the top.
Oh, you're right. They do have two different invoice numbers.
Probably 2 kids, maybe.
There's a chance that she had 2 kids. We had to cancel our last dance.
Oh, okay. One check.
One check combined for 2 refunds.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, any other question?
I have a question.
Yep.
On the closing allowance for $600, is that a yearly amount?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Everything else seemed fine.
Any other question? None heard. All in favor of approval of the motion to consent A, B, C, D, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Item 4, select board reports, town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of the public. I did submit my report ahead. I want to thank the board for the vacation week, and that was appreciated. I was able to drop off my daughter last week at her new college. So I do have a little bit of an update this evening. I put on your desk that Wilk Paving has been in town today to do the grinding of pavement on Town Farm Road Bridge, which is up toward the north end, and at the Newton Road intersection. And they will be shimming and paving the paved section of Town Farm Road. It seems, I've spoken with Jeremy tonight, it seems like it may start as early as Wednesday. So the road, day after tomorrow, the road won't be closed, but please obey flaggers around the work site and drive carefully on Town Farm Road. This is our summer 2025 paving that the select board authorized and is 100% funded by the local option tax and not by the property tax. The oil tank was removed from the town hall basement boiler room today. The oil was pumped out by our fuel supplier and its value will be credited to the town. I think we might keep the tank as a backup up at Highway because they use diesel and it can do that for them. And Tim Kingston has resigned as animal control officer. We appreciate his service. He's still with the town in his wastewater capacity. We will follow the town's policy and post for an internal candidate in case there's someone already working for the town who wants to take this on before we make an external posting. Jackie was able to get the numbers I couldn't get into my report, and they're listed there in terms of last year's operating budget. Does appear to have a surplus kind of hanging on there around $148,000. The unrestricted fund balance appears to be around $631,000. Local option tax figure is there, $456,777. And the delinquent property taxes and delinquent wastewater have moved down slightly due to payment plans. That's, I think, my updates.
Questions from the board for the town manager? Questions from the public for the town manager? Mr. Buell.
I noticed something about it's less than $1,500 owed. You're not going to bother. What is the cost to, you have to publish this, you have to attorney's fees. What is the cost for a full?
So if it's less than $1,500, we're no longer allowed to bring it to tax sale. So it's not the town's determination, it's a statutory change. The cost is whatever the lawyers charge us on a per hour basis to do the deed research and notify the lien holders and all of that kind of stuff. And it's capped at 5% of the taxes to be recovered. So that's kind of how the town theoretically covers its cost of running the tax sale. There's a $5,000 budget item every year to kind of put some foundation funding in to do the work, and then we can recover during the tax sale if a property gets a bid. It's looking like, because of payment plans and this change and so forth, the number of properties, I think when I first gave you the first list, it was in the 70s. And I think we're under 20 at this point. So the tax sale itself is not going to be a massive number of properties.
That's the way it always is. That's why that's important to get that letter out.
Yes.
Any other questions for the town manager? None heard. Moving on to Mr. Moore. Community Development.
Thank you, Doug. It's my report for today, the 25th of August. Youth programming starting this week. We have soccer in grades 3 through 6, football in grades 3 through 8. Our rolling start to the season means that pre-K through second grade offerings for both will begin on September the 6th. Based upon popular demand, Pee Wee cheer is being offered for the fall season. Starting on September 7th, kindergarten through second graders will be introduced to cheerleading basics and skill building in anticipation of the winter season. This will precede the grades 3 through 6 fall cheer programming. BREC Youth Cross Country is back after a 6-year hiatus. Avid runner and Neshabie teacher Katie Mack will work with youth in grades 3 through 6, starting on October 3rd, 2 days a week, to prepare for the Brandon Rec sponsored November 23rd Neshabie Pie Gobbler Fun Run. Family kickball at the Brandon Rec baseball field at Neshabie is starting in October. We'll provide the ball and pennies. You provide the healthy competition. Silent movie update. The 1928 movie Spies show date has been moved to Friday, September the 12th at 7 p.m. This former Friends of the Town Hall offering is growing in popularity. They had 100 people at their last showing. Free admission. Any donations and concessions proceeds received will be used to fund the 2026 series. The Town Hall has seen an uptick in rentals for private organizations. These funds will be used to support renovations and upkeep for the Town Hall. Pickleballers have spoken. We're ramping up with the new paid registration for indoor pickleball. This has not been without some feedback. However, we're committed to recouping some funding to help with future costs and projects. That is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Questions for Mr. Moore from the board?
How much is the rental on the town hall when we rent it out? What do we get?
It depends. I could pull up the thing. We anywhere from $150 to $400, depending on the organization. If they're in town, out of town, if they're for profit, nonprofit. We have 4 different rates, maybe 6 different rates that we have. Brand new residents get a discount. Depends if you're renting upstairs versus the downstairs, upstairs versus downstairs.
Other questions? What's town manager, the assistant from the public? Questions for Mr. Moore? None heard. Yes.
Sorry, Faith Dyer. I did not receive the email that you sent out to the pickleballers, but my husband is one of them. You had mentioned the costs, the collection of those funds would be used for future costs. Do you know what those future costs are? I think that it might help.
Sure, absolutely. So there's been a lot of, like I said, excitement around pickleball. It's the fastest growing sport. We're currently actually tonight, the select board's considering the possibility of going forward with a bid to update the courts at Estabrook, which has been something that's been at least 3 or 4 years in planning. This new iteration of the courts will be initially blacktop, and we'll be having to paint lines on there. And the idea is that we're going to have at least 3 pickleball court lines painted on there. We already own 2 or 3 different nets. They tend, I buy a net, I'd say every year and a half, and they always seem to just disappear. But it's not because I'm accusing pickleballers of stealing nets. I'm just saying in the shuffle of going between Nesherby or leaving them outside, at some point we lose our pickleball nets. I have a box of pickleball nets. But anyways, it just helps support future programming, especially as we move toward having a nice court outside. There's going to be some costs associated with buying more nets, possibly providing balls, painting those lines, and then, of course, managing pickleballers, because I don't know if anybody knows anything about pickleballers, but if they get an opportunity to pickleball, they will do it, and they will take over a court. And it becomes a point where we do have to manage that space and that time, because what becomes just an opening becomes mobbed with pickleballers. And that's going to require some management, and we're going to do that. So,
Do you know roughly what the fee structure is that you're thinking about?
So what we instituted as this first go around is it's $50 to play if you're a resident of Brandon for 6 months indoors. This is not for the outdoor courts. We have no plans right now to charge for outdoor courts. A lot of communities don't charge for outdoor courts. There are some that do. Pittsburgh Rec for one. But our indoor, this is for indoor, $50 will get you 6 months of play. And then if you're from out of town, we reduced the fee. We initially put it at $79. Now it's $65. And broken down, we provide 22 to 24 hours a week of pickleball inside. Granted, it's a single court. There's 4 people using that court at one time. But we felt that that was a more reasonable way than working on punch cards and relying on volunteers, or at worst, having to pay somebody, a staff member, to accept $2 and $4 payments from people. So. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and again, like in thinking about pickleball, youth sports like basketball, all those indoor court times are paid for through their fee structure, and kids are paying $45 to $50 each sports season to use those courts. And when we're not programming youth sports, pickleball is being programmed there. So it's a loss of potential revenue to offset costs for the rec department. But again, it felt like it was a reasonable fee. Again, if you're talking about places like Rutland Rec, for instance, they charge $4 a day for pickleball. Middlebury Rec charges $4 a day for pickleball for people that come in. They have punch card systems that they manage, but it's a volunteer that's managing punch cards, and they're buying them. And this was just a flat rate way to streamline the process. Come on.
Again, I guess I think the question is that the monies are not necessarily going to the upkeep of the current pickleball courts, from what I'm hearing, what you're saying.
The funds that will come in will go for pickleball. So this will be a pickleball fund. And so whether that's upkeep of the outdoor courts, whether it's any sort of improvements we need to do at the, like, for instance, the school thankfully paid for lighting within
Right.
there's space there, but there's still going to be other costs that are associated with that. So like we're creating a pickleball fund with this money. We're not using it to offset the costs of football.
Something that's being created for future use that may or may not happen. I know that on the agenda is, on the next item is the Estabrook courts, which, so to collect $50 from each pickleball player for something that potentially is not approved or happening yet is, I guess, one of my concerns.
Concern how?
Well, that if you were at, if the school board, since the school board, it's a school building, was asking for some kind of a fee structure for lighting, for the air conditioning, for the upkeep of the court that they're using indoors, I think that would be one thing. But to pay, and I'm speaking for myself, not for my husband, mind you, who I think already weighed in. It's, you know, to pay for future use of a pickleball, outdoor pickleball court or other recreational program for pickleball that doesn't exist yet is, I believe, an unreasonable request. Just my opinion.
Sure. I mean, like the town has already outlaid with no funds whatsoever from pickleballers to purchase nets throughout the years. And we've been playing pickleball in Brandon for 5 or 6 years. I want to say we've bought 4 or 5 different nets. I mean, we have expended money already with no charge. We're not recouping any money. And again, like the outdoor model for pickleball throughout the country is fairly free or sometimes paid, but indoors always paid. And again, if you're talking about a space like Middlebury Rec, they have 23 and a half hours of pickleball a week, and they charge $4 a day for people to go in. I mean, it's just kind of in line with using the space. I mean, it's not unreasonable, I guess, for the town to ask for that.
Right. And I agree on that, but you're telling us that that money is going to be used for future pickleball courts that will be outdoors and not yet there.
And or if we have costs that are passed on to us from the school. I mean, we've been very fortunate. The school's been wonderful about it. But I mean, again, like this is pickleball money, pickleballers
Right.
that are again right now getting something for nothing for 24 hours a week of programming. We could be programming something that could be making money, and we're not doing that.
Then there should be some accountability for that. If those pickleball players are contributing, there should be some accountability for how that money is being used, because I believe that they're going to expect it to be used for the facility that they're currently using.
Interesting.
Just my 2 cents
Sure.
worth.
Appreciate your opinion. And as I said, pickleballers have opinions and they share them. It's just wonderful. I mean, without feedback, we don't know where people are.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Moore? None, and moving on. Now, Mr. Moore, one more time with Estabrook for Reconstruction update.
I could read to you a letter I put in the packet for you guys. Dual tennis courts that were built around 1984 have been in need of updating at Estabrook, as has been told to me. I've observed over the past 12 to 13 years. The initial siting of these courts has always been problematic, as evidenced by the cracking of the surface and the replacement and subsequent failure of the tennis net poles. In September of 2023, the Brandon Selectboard at that time elected to use some ARPA funding to put toward the resurfacing of the court. The $30,000 has been reserved for this purpose was done so with the understanding that we would be converting it into a multi-use court. The court net poles would be removed, new asphalt installed, and lines painted on the asphalt for both tennis and pickleball, with movable nets for both. This would also allow for modular skateboarding features to be stored on site that could be moved into place to allow for designated skating times. Again, I get many calls about the possibility of creating a skate park of some kind. A skate park is an exorbitant amount of money to create on its own. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our purchasing policy requires that we have 3 quotes, but we're having no luck getting a third paving contractor to quote this project. As the summer is quickly turning into fall, I request that the Select Board consider waiving the third quote requirement, award the work so it can be performed before the end of this paving year. This blacktop only option, based upon the bids received of $46,800 and $48,800, eclipses the amount of ARPA funding that was set aside. I'd ask the board to consider using 1% money to make up the shortfall, bearing in mind that there is a bequeathment, a bequest. So Seth and I had an argument about this, to support Estabrook Park, for which the town will be receiving funds that could be used to offset the 1% fund if you choose to use it. And want some notes? This multi-use court approach allows the town to investigate the potential support and use of a skate park as a bonus while we improve these courts. The cost of a dedicated skate park is so great that having this essentially free feasibility study will help inform future rec priorities. The application of rec surfacing that is typical of tennis courts and pickleball courts is anticipated to be north of an additional $60,000. This could be considered a future project for which grant funds could be matched with fundraising to implement if it becomes the desire of the community.
Am I correct that there may also be,
Yes, thank you. So in the midst of all this, thank you for the reminder. We received somebody who wished to remain anonymous that wanted to donate $5,000 towards this effort, which would help also with that shortfall.
and that was just out of the blue?
Out of the blue, like a
Nice.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the policy of getting 3 bids. If you
I'll
need,
second.
okay.
Okay, let's do that. Motion to waive the policy. Any discussion? Heard all in favor of waiving the policy to only having 2 bids, please say aye.
Aye.
There's no one. Funding.
Got a question. If Wilk is here doing the other work, is there any chance their bid was higher, but if they're here, they don't really have to mobilize? I didn't know if there was any chance their bid would be, since they're here, be any lower.
go ahead.
Right?
So yeah,
I think it's the other Wilk.
there's
Oh,
Wilk
it's-
Sealing, work is Wilk Paving. They're 2 different.
Oh,
Okay, nope, didn't, okay, nope.
Wilk Sealing is like parking lots and sidewalks and stuff. Wilk Paving is roads. We have Wilk Paving in for town plan.
Scratch my remarks.
all right.
I would like to make a motion that, well, hang on. You don't have it in there about the Estabrook fund?
It's in there, and as part of my notes, it talks about
Request.
the bequest
Request.
coming.
Request. So I would like to make a motion. I don't know if there's a recommendation from you folks as to which company you want to go with. I know we have worked with Wilk, but I don't know if we'll work with Wilk's Sealing. But the other one's way down in Brattleboro. But I would like to see us, pardon? Go ahead.
The Vermont Roadworks is the company that did last year's sidewalk.
Sidewalks, okay. So then I
And
would
came
like to
back
make a
and
motion
request
that we accept the bid from Vermont Roadworks and that we authorize 11,800 of 1% money to be used and for that to be repaid when we get the bequest from Estabrook. So
Is that how much we need? 11,000?
Yes.
$11,800.
Oh, right, because we're counting that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
I'm just,
Discussion, yeah.
now on the 2 bids, Wilkes is gonna do the final grading, compaction and drainage. And Roadworks expects the town crew to do that. Do we have a price on what that's gonna cost us to do that compared?
I don't. I do know that like the demo work, our town highway saved us money doing some of the demo work, and they talked about helping to compact that and make it happen. They enjoy working for Vermont Roadworks. They've been good about working with us.
Okay, I just think that if they're gonna do the final, I don't know what that entitles the way it's worded here, but they're gonna do drainage too and that, and maybe they're familiar with what drainage a tennis court needs, and I just a point I'm trying to,
Vermont Roadworks quote came that number actually I have, the $60,000 came from another tennis court that they were doing in another place. They know what, I mean, they have experience doing tennis courts. They know what, they came up and took a look at this twice. But the $60,000 they gave us was a company that they work with that does all the layering. So, I mean, they've done tennis court work.
Okay, if you're confident in it and it's not gonna put more work on our town crew to go in there and do where we could have these guys do it, I'm fine with it.
I'd actually like to amend my motion to that we go ahead with this and we authorize the town manager to use 1% money up to or less than $15,000. So if there's any overrides, we're not right back down here. And then they could ask those questions of this. This court's been totally gravel for quite a while. And the ARPA funds were set for that 4.5 years ago. It's time to move on.
But the point I was making is, well, we've had drainage and
Yep.
compaction
I agree.
issues up there with it for a long time, and I just would like to see it done.
Correctly, properly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have confidence that we're going to be getting well more than that back in from the Estabrook fund, and that they can follow through with this up to 15 grand.
We need a second on your amendment.
I do need a second on the
I will
amendment.
second that.
Discussion on the amendment. None heard. All in favor of the amendment, which is basically stating that we can go up to 15 in the 1% money, if necessary. Say,
That, I'll just note that the Vermont Works actually has a proviso that if any additional excavation needs to be done to adhere to the specs of the courts, which I would assume would also include drainage, it would be billed additionally. So adding a little padding into there helps.
okay. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
I
Opposed, no one. So now we're at that as the motion. Any additional discussion on that?
Just a quick thing. I'm not a tennis or pickleball player. I know asphalt is okay for playing on. Is there, in terms of quality versus, I know we're not getting to the actual surfacing of it yet, but just like how usable is it for a lot of these other, for pickleball, for tennis, all this?
It's definitely usable. I mean, it's not ideal, I mean,
Right.
ideal is that beautiful new,
Right. Linoleum or whatever. it is.
eighth of an inch of $60,000 covering. We're going to see if we can get by without doing this. And in the interim too, it provides an opportunity, to test run it, these kids having a skate park. And it's one of the things that keeps coming up and over again. If I recall correctly, one of the select people that made the motion had talked about this multi-use court idea as a way to test run this.
And for it being a skate park, we're not contemplating that the town is paying for the construction of all the skate stuff. Is that going to be a separate thing at some point?
That would be a separate thing. I mean, we have people that are willing to build some of these things and fundraise to make, to build a little half pipe and
Any additional questions or discussion on the motion?
No, this just gets it done so it's usable.
Yeah.
We need to expend that money.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion to use 1% money up to $15,000 with the agreement that it is returned to us after we get the decreased? Let's say aye.
I
Opposed? No one. Let's get this done.
thank you.
Item 6, public comments for any items not on the agenda or otherwise.
And I'd like to premise this with, I'm a huge tennis fan. And my husband plays tennis 3 times a week, 4 times a week. The other days he's playing pickleball. I'm a huge fan. But I'd like the the town and the select board to consider the ongoing costs of maintaining a tennis court. Now, you've had a tennis court since 1984 that's gone to tatters. And so no one in that whole amount of time has proposed that we maintain those courts at all, I'm not hearing it anyway. So now to spend, I'm sorry.
This is the tennis courts that we just had the town crew grind down
Uh-huh.
were not the very first installation. Like that,
Okay.
that tennis court has been replaced once or twice.
Okay.
Like entirely replaced because they built it in a wet spot. It's got
So
problems.
where is the tennis court now? It's still in Estabrook down at the bottom of the
Yes.
hill. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that being, I mean, thank you for the clarification. But have we considered the ongoing costs of maintaining tennis courts? The fact that you will have to resurface those courts potentially every 4 to 8 years. You have to repaint lines, probably more often than that. Fencing around the courts, does that need to be replaced? Potentially lighting the courts if you want to use them at night. It's a tremendous amount of money to maintain those courts. I had suggested and spoken to a few of the select board meetings, members outside of this meeting, that Shoreham, where my husband currently plays, has an association that maintains the courts for the town of Shoreham at no expense to the town of Shoreham by collecting fees from the group of tennis players that use those courts. So you may want to talk to them about it. And they are responsible for the lighting, the resurfacing, the painting of those courts, and have been doing it for I believe, for probably a couple of decades now, with the association that's made up of members from not only Shoreham, but local communities, obviously from Brandon as well. I also wanted to point out, I think, Jeff, I didn't hear you back there, but asphalt is not a preferred tennis court material. It's not. And to create a multi-use, court that would include skateboarders or rollerbladers or what is not ideal. That will destroy the court. It will not be usable for tennis players or pickleball players. If I know tennis players, they are very particular about their court surfaces and will not play on a court that's not suitable. So that's something to consider as well. And again, to put this much money into a test to see how it goes and what the usability of that is, seems a little wasteful to me. And mind you, I would like nothing more than to see a really wonderful tennis court and pickleball court for the community to use. But I think that a little more consideration might need to go into this than just spending, what is it, the $30,000 plus an additional $15,000? And what the costs are ongoing to the taxpayers of the town.
May I respond?
Yes.
Sure. So this isn't something I entered into lightly. This is something, I mean, from day one, 2012, I started as part-time. One of the first things I noticed is the fact that those courts were in terrible condition. The poles had moved in. This has been building toward this solution of a multi-use court. It's not ideal for tennis. It's not ideal necessarily for skateboarding. It's not ideal for pickleballers, but it's a space that they all can use with some level of, well, it's a space where we can do this in. I personally, just from conversations I've had with other people are excited about the possibility of being able to use this space again and not have it be dilapidated. And for a relatively small amount of money, a double court that size to be re-asphalted, that's a pretty good number. And just, again, we start talking about the tennis court resurfacing, that's $60,000, $70,000 to put that on. If we don't put that on there, we've got black asphalt that's going to take like black asphalt. It's going to be able to take the dings and scrapes. It's not that thin layer of rubber or whatever it is that tennis players like to hit off of. Again, it's not ideal, but it's providing the most amount of people an opportunity to use that space versus just tennis, just pickleball, or just skateboarders. That's why it's a multi-use court. That's why we made the move towards a multi-use court. $46,000 versus $100,000 to rebuild a tennis court for tennis players.
Understood. I just know tennis players, and if they're playing tennis, they're not going to play on a court that's not suitable to play tennis on. Once the skateboard, I mean, I'm not against skateboarders, mind you, I think they need space as well. But a multi-use space may not be ideal, year 2, 3, or 4 after it's been used that often by the different types of activities that are going to go on in that court.
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents worth.
Oh, yeah, and I just want to make sure you know, again, like, it's not like we're talking about scraping off that 1/8 inch or 1/16 inch layer. It's blacktop, asphalt, it's roadway. Road surface that can take a tire on it, can take a ball on it. It's not going to get scraped up like a thin layer of rubber would be. So the court surface isn't going to change that much with that much usage asphalt over the course of 6, 7, 8, 10 years.
Asphalt, the weather conditions here in Vermont will have a lot to do with how those asphalt will eventually, I'm just saying it's not ideal. It's not, and chances are it will not hold up the way a properly installed tennis court would hold up.
Thank you.
Can I just throw a couple things out there, which are, one, I think the idea of having a friends of the court, or however you want to do it, was a phenomenal idea, whether that's tennis players or everyone who uses it, or I think that would be great. So if you're someone who uses those things, consider doing that. And then I think you're right that this is not an ideal solution for any particular use case. But I think the point is we're trying to do the most good for the most number of people, and that's going to be sort of a compromise built on a compromise, no matter how you slice it. I think the ideal would be we have a huge sports complex that's got a tennis court and a skate park and a pool and whatever, but no one's proposing that because then we're in the millions easily. So I think this is a reasonable position for a town of our size to be in, and hopefully it works well enough that we can expand upon it.
Yeah, and I'd like to just clarify so you know that, of course, everything is always tax dollars in one way or another, but 30,000 is from ARPA. It was given to us from the government. 5,000 is a donation, so that's separate. And so 15 is coming from our local options tax. So no one is going to see this on their tax bill the way we're doing it right now. And I would assume that maintenance can also continue to come from that Estabrook fund. That's going to be ongoing, correct? Or is it all one shot?
It's one shot. This one expend all of that one shot, but if you build it, they will come. If we have this space and people like this space and they want this space to improve, they're going to step up, and we're going to maybe have friends of the courts at Estabrook, and they decide no skateboarding, we're not going to have it. And the skateboarders decide we don't want to be on asphalt, but we do want to spend $500,000 to build a cement skate park, or the pickleballers say, you know what, we want a pickleball, we want 4 courts there and we want to be pickleball only. We'll gladly put up the $70,000 and limit the people that go there. Like, this is an opportunity for the community to use a space and decide what's important to them. And the one thing I've learned about rec is facilitating the dreams of other people. I don't play pickleball. I don't play tennis. I don't skateboard. I'm not going to use this court. But it's not about me. It's about what the community wants. And if the community says, we want this to be just a skate park only, that's what's going to happen. But we're going to get that feedback from people being able to use the space. Right now, it's not usable.
Yes, we did.
We're good. We're done.
Brett?
Yes, Brent Beal.
Yeah.
Same subject or just different?
Same. I know nothing about this, but if the site's been problematic all along, how is it then not going to be problematic in the future? Number one, that's my first question. Number two, what is the Estabrook Fund? It's news to me. Thanks.
When Penny Estabrook passed, as a part of her estate, she's leaving a portion of money to help fund Estabrook in the future, a chunk of money, which will eclipse the amount that they're giving us plus some. There's an estimate. We're not sure where it's going to be at, but it's going to be north of the amount that the select board is committed as a part of the 1% that we'll pay back. What was your second question or the first question?
Site.
Yes, correct.
In the site.
Oh, the siting. So we've had a couple different engineers, friends of engineers, go down and take a look to figure out what we could do to improve that siting. That was something that we talked to both Wilk and Vermont Roadworks about helping out. I also spoke with our road crew. I think there's some things they can do to mitigate it. What won't be solved is the fact that it's within a wetlands buffer, but what will be solved is the fact that it will be crowned better. It won't have the access points of having the tennis court poles that'll be there. Again, these are going to be movable tennis poles that come in and out, like the pickleball nets, be movable tennis nets. So there's hope that will keep water from infiltrating it. But there's certainly no guarantees that we won't have problems in the future, but this was the least expensive solution we had to provide this opportunity to folks. I mean, it would have been resiting a tennis court and rebuilding tennis court whole cloth at a different location. We had talked about that, talked about moving up to where the parking lot is, and it would be a smaller court, the permitting, and again, the cost of starting a brand new tennis court versus taking this space and converting it was factors. cheaper.
And I would note that even prior to 2023, but definitely in 2023, when we were talking about the ARPA funding, we were getting numerous comments and complaints about why haven't we fixed that court yet? There are people that really want to use it. And it really came down to trying to figure out the best, most fiscally conservative way to do it because of the rules around Estabrook Park that we have to comply with. We can't really just say, well, skip that. Let's just build a whole new one in a different place. And people really wanted to have this court in that place where there's already restrooms and there's the ball fields and there's other reasons to be there. And when I was doing the public meetings and community forums about the town plan, and part of that was asking people what their vision of Brandon was in the future, and many people pointed out those tennis courts and said, even if they're not Wimbledon, at least, having something that we can use instead of a non-usable thing in a place where there already are public facilities. And so, I personally think that this is not a waste of money. I think it's a good use of the money. And, if there comes a time that people, want to get together and put in more money to make it even more of, more favorable to tennis players. But, frankly, a lot of people I know just play pickup tennis. People that are serious about tennis, yeah, maybe they won't play there. But people that like to play pickup tennis or people like me that just play bad tennis don't really care what the course is like. And so I think this is a place where kids first learn to hit the ball back and forth over the net, and then when they get better at it, maybe they'll go to a better court. So
It's not ideal, but it's a hard surface to play
it's
on.
a hard
Or
surface to
hard
play on.
surface to, skate on with your skateboard or whatever. It'll work temporarily.
Any additional public comment on any other subject?
Okay. Big item again. Did you consider clay courts, which are less expensive than any other surface? They do require some maintenance, but mostly sweeping. But did you consider?
No,
Because
I considered grass at one point, but not clay.
if clay would not fit the multi-use purpose that you're talking.
Yeah.
Last call on public comment.
Hey.
You're done. 5-minute recess before executive session. Thank you very much for 7:55 coming out of executive session.
Well, we need to,
Pardon?
we need to move to come out of
Right.
executive session
Okay,
first.
motion to come out of executive session.
So
Thank you.
moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor of coming out of executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Now,
I'd like to make a motion that we send a nomination letter to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns to nominate Sue Gage for consideration to receive the Municipal Service Award from VLCT.
as recommended.
As recommended by Tricia Welch.
I will second that.
Okay, discussion? None heard. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.